Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope you're keeping fine and taking a very good care of yourself. Alright, so in the last class, we studied about migration, right? We studied the causes and the effects of migration. Now today, I will explain you the different types of migration. Alright, there are many types of migration like immigration, emigration, domestic and internal migration. Now let's see what are these different types of migration. The various types of migration depend on the flow and number of people involved, the reason for their movement, the time they spend in the migration, and the nature of migration. A few types of migration are stated below. Now, in this paragraph, it tells you that the various types of migration, they depend on some facts. What are those facts? The people who are involved, the number of people, how many people are migrating, and the flow of migration, what kind of migration it is, whether they are moving out of a country or they are moving into a country. What is the reason for their movement? For what reason are they migrating? Whether they are migrating for a job or they are migrating because of war, they are migrating because of some famine. So there are many reasons of migration as well. The time they spend in migration and the nature of migration. A few types of migration are stated below. The first is immigration. Now we have already come across this word immigration, right? Now what does this word mean? It means the movement of people into a country, right? When you are moving inside a country, it is called immigration. Immigration is the international movement of people into a destination country of which they are not natives. Underline natives. Natives, what do you mean by natives? It means that you don't originally belong to that country. You are not born in that country, right? You are not the citizen of that country. When people cross international borders during their migration, they are called immigrants. For example, when you are crossing the border of India and you are going to UAE for a job, you are an immigrant in UAE, right? Because you are crossing the border of your country and you are entering into some other country. From the perspective of the country which they leave, they are called emigrants. Now, in the situation when you are leaving India and going to UAE, you are an immigrant. You are an immigrant for UAE and you are an emigrant for your country, that is India. So when you are moving out of a country, you are called emigrant from the point of view of the country which you are leaving. And you are called immigrant from the point of the country in which you are moving in. The second type of migration is emigration. Now you have come across this word emigrant. From this comes emigration. Emigration means leaving one country when you are going out. Emigration means leaving one's resident country with the intention to settle down elsewhere. When you are moving out of your country, not to just spend a vacation in some other country, but with the motive of settling down there, with the motive of working there, earning money and living there. It is especially migration from your native country in order to settle in another. So what is emigration? Emigration is moving out of your native country, of your own country, into some foreign country, into some other country. Why? With the motive of settling in that country, or with the motive of living in that country. Now, both immigration and emigration are acts of migration across the national boundaries. Immigration and emigration, they both involved crossing national boundaries. Example of immigration include the Irish people that arrived into the US during the famine. On the other hand, people that left Ireland during the famine were referred to as the emigrants by the people left behind in Ireland. So this is an example of emigration, right? Which includes the Irish people. Who are the Irish people? The people who live in Ireland that arrived into US. These Irish people, they migrated where? They migrated to US during the famine in Ireland. On the other hand, people that left Ireland, these people who are moving out of Ireland during the famine, they were called emigrants. By whom? By the people who were left behind in Ireland. So the people who were still living in Ireland, they called these people who moved to US as immigrants. Right? Is it clear now? The difference between the number of immigrants and emigrants give the migration balance. Alright, so what does this mean? The difference between the immigration means how many people moved into a country and how many people moved out of the country. It gives you the migration balance. The difference between these two gives you the migration balance. For example, Jamaica has a net migration loss because it has lost more people through emigration than it has gained through immigration. Now, what do you understand by this? That the people who are living in Jamaica, they have moved out of their country more rather than people coming into their country. So, number of people who migrated out of the country are more than the number of people who moved into the country. On the other hand, Hong Kong has many more immigrants than immigrants. Now in Hong Kong, there are less people who are moving out of Hong Kong and more people who are moving into Hong Kong.